So, welcome to Nerd Initiative. We're so excited to have you here with us.
I am happy to be here. It's a long time coming. Got sick, rearranged. We lost power at one point thanks to a storm. So very happy to finally be here.
That was a series of storms. Megan and I
Yeah.
were talking to each other, and I had to hop off one night and said, "Hey, by the way, there's a tornado warning where I live. I'm getting
Oh,
off."
no.
Insane.
They heard the siren through my phone. But welcome.
That
We're
is
so excited to have you, and it actually worked out really well that there's a little bit
It
delayed.
did.
Because now we get to tell you congratulations
Yes.
on
Thank
your
you.
Eisner nomination. So if you're watching this at home and you don't know, Miss Stephanie Williams here becomes the second black writer to get nominated for the best writer for the Eisner Award, which following the legendary Dwayne McDuffie. She also becomes the first black woman to be
Yes.
nominated. So, congratulations, so
Thank
deserved.
you.
I usually fight for the chance to review the stuff for Nerd Initiative that you've done. So, I've
Yeah.
been there for Temporal. I've been there for Roots of Madness, and I don't get to do Wonder Woman. I didn't get to do that. Megan got to do Wonder Woman, but it's so deserved. Just your writing has been amazing through everything, and
Thank
I've
you.
been there since Moon Girl Wreck and Roll, but that's a whole different
Thank you.
other story. But congratulations, so deserved. Such a great honor to, regardless of outcome, to even just be in that
Yes.
category and to be in the same breath as someone as revolutionary in the comic industry as Dwayne McDuffie.
I cannot agree more.
So, what did you do when you found out? That's what I always want to know.
Oh man. So my editor Jamie Rich at Ignition Press called me and I was gonna like not answer the phone because I owe him a couple things. So I was like ducking and dodging my editor, but he never calls. So I was like, well, this must be important. So he called and it just so happened my husband and son were like in the room too. And I ended up putting him on speakerphone and that's when he told me. And before I could even get a word out, both of them were like, yeah, we told you so. Like we knew this was gonna happen. It was a really great moment because you could hear them yelling in the background. But wow, I mean, I think I am still processing. I think that's gonna be in waves just because I honestly was not expecting it. And then when the announcements went out Thursday, I had no idea that Temporal had been nominated. Like that was a complete surprise to me. So I thought I was like, oh, I'll be fine on Thursday because I already knew. And then no, they still got me with a surprise. So I don't know, like it feels great, but also again just still processing because it's the Eisners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you,
Insane.
when you found out about the temporal that you didn't know about, did you talk to Asia and DJ and Becca and everybody, be like, look what happened? Like,
I sure did. I think I text DJ and let him know that it had been nominated. And then Asia and I spoke later that night because she's all the way in Asia, actually. She is, I think, in Taiwan, if I'm not mistaken. She's been out there doing some teaching. So, like, our time zone difference is different, but at that point, it didn't matter.
absolutely. Like, that's one of those things that doesn't matter. Is it 2 a.m.? It's not a bad time. Let me tell you
No.
what happened. So yeah, that's awesome. I remember reading Temporal and I had reached out to you because I'm doing my review on it and I was like, hey, this character has the same name as one of the artists. Like, did you intentionally do this? And Stephanie was
Yes.
like, yes, not only that, but then one of the other characters is named after one of DJ's relatives who had passed away. So that was just a super cool moment. So knowing that, reading Temporal, so excited that
Thank
not only
you.
your nominations, but that the work on Temporal was recognized. A little sad that Roots of Madness didn't get more love than it did, but all still great, exciting things for you. Um, as you kind of have stepped into your own as this career. And Megan and I talk about it every so often, because one of the things that I continuously say and bring up is that it's crazy that you do so much, you're on so much, you're writing so much, you're doing these great stories, but somehow you still feel criminally underrated. Like, I don't
Yeah.
I
understand
know.
that.
Trust me, it is something that I have felt for a while. Just because I knew that I was going to have to get a little scrappy when it came to work, because, I'm not doing any ongoings. And some of the books, even if they're not high profile, like they're books that I want to work on. So, yeah, like I am getting better about saying no to stuff. But yeah, it was very important just for me to show the range of work that I could do, just to hopefully secure work in the future. And also, I just like really love storytelling. So regardless of what the genre is, whether it's for young readers, middle grade, adult, mature, teenage, I don't care. Like, I just want to tell stories, and whatever those stories call for, then that's what I'm gonna do.
and and I know, like, just to be nominated for an Eisner has to be an outstanding feeling. But how much
Yeah.
different does it feel knowing that your nominations are coming from creator-owned stories? You're not
Oh
getting
man.
nominated just on the work you've done for Wonder Woman. You're getting nominated based on the work you've done for Roots of Madness, that you've done on Temporal, things that you poured your heart into that were your ideas from scratch.
I mean, beautiful vindication, because when I came into the business as a pro, like a lot of work I was doing was with the big two. So there was always this, well, can she do stuff that, as their of her own creation? Can she create her own sandbox instead of just playing in other folks' sandboxes? So to have those two works like recognized, and especially temporal, like I just, again, I was not expecting that. I don't know, like it just is a reminder to myself to, because I almost didn't tell either of those stories just because I was just nervous to tell them. One of them is a time travel story, which I said I would never do because time travel is can be a mess. And the other one takes place at the turn of the century, is in 1905. And I don't know, like those are just stories that I originally said I wouldn't do, but I'm so happy that I did, because this has been the outcome. And there's stories that were not only I needed to get out of, like, out of my mind, out of my brain, but there were clearly stories that were needed.
That's true because Sean never stops talking about them ever. And
Oh,
it's
I
getting,
appreciate that.
it's crazy,
Look,
but
I
it's
I
so
even said
nice.
this. I said this in my finale of Roots of Madness. Like, I understand going in, like, reading through Roots of Madness. I'm a white dude with short hair. Like, Roots of Madness, I am not the target audience. So there's so many more layers there that even I'm not getting. And if I'm picking up on so much, it's got to be really, really, really good. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love Temporal. My heart was so happy because I remember reading through Temporal and I was like, I like Harper. I really hope Harper gets a bigger point in this. And I remember reading through, and then I was like, yes, yes, like she's reading my mind. This is perfect. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I felt, I even told Megan and everybody, like, I sing your praises. I've been doing the reviews for Black Cat, and I did nomination for that. And I was like, I feel like Adrian Bronauer, for, like Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Vindication. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. I've been telling you guys these stories are good, and people who actually have votes to do so are telling you it's good too. So,
No, because Black Hat has been really fun. Shout
mhm,
out to G. Willow Wilson.
yes. But I loved Roots of Madness. I love Temporal. And that leads me to kind of one of the things that I really love about your writing, and I feel like it's why I gravitate to your writing style. You are one of the most character centric writers out there.
Thank
It
you.
doesn't matter if we're talking about time travel, if we're talking about like 90s throwbacks like Street Shark, which magnificent. I
I
messaged
was so happy to see that listed.
I messaged Stephanie when it was like, was it issue 3 came out? And I was like, am I supposed to be getting a Good Burger vibe from this story, because this is what I am getting,
Yes.
is the Good Burger vibe. And it felt like that. And but every single story, no matter where it's the kind of time travel Afrofuturism type story of Temporal, or you've got the more psychological horror of like Roots of Madness, your characters are always at the heart of your story, and they're so deep and so well developed, regardless of what type of story you're telling. And I think
Thank
that's one of
you.
the things that makes your story so intriguing to me, and how I get pulled into them, even if I'm not necessarily like the target audience you're writing for. I
Yeah.
love a good developed story. And I'm a big nerd. Like I'm a professor full time, and I teach on the side. Is I do this on the side and teach full time. So, as a fellow science nerd, because I know you come from the kind of science
Yeah.
background, does any of that play a role in that kind of attention to detail? Play a role in how you approach your storytelling?
Absolutely. If anything, just like the research of it all. So I am somebody who, man, like I read a lot, like a gross amount. Like if I'm not writing, I'm probably reading or I'm watching something. I'm just such a fan of creation, even music. That also plays a role in it. But yeah, because I am trying to absorb, and for the the works that I gravitate towards, the works that I either have on repeat or read 1,000 times, watch 1,000 times. I like to study why that is. And a good amount of time is because the character development is there. Like, I think I was at an event back in, I think, March. We was kind of talking about older comics and how why I enjoyed them, even though Silver and Bronze Age, like you don't see a lot of black characters get the main stage, and like the superhero books, like mainly Marvel, DC. But even with that, those characters that I still found connection through because of, you just find ways to relate, even if those characters don't look like you. And that is something that always stuck with me, that when writers were able to like draw you in because the character isn't interesting, not just their powers, not just, the story plot itself or the town that they're in or whatever the case is, but you're drawn in because the character work is strong. Like I read a lot of romance, like a gross amount of romance. But in that, like what I've learned from romance writers, especially the ones that are really good, because you kind of get the same story all the time. Like there's a formula to it. But even though I know how the story is going to end, I don't care because I've been drawn in because the character work is so strong. So I think that is just something I learned very early on. And like I just studied, like, if you can draw people in because you can get them to care about the character, everything else will fall into place.
Stephanie's that person you don't want on your Goodreads friends list. What is your goal this year? 20 books. Stephanie, read 20 books in the last 2 weeks. Well done.
You actually, Sean, like, I think the most that I've read, I think I was going through, like Brenda Jackson's old catalog. She's a romance writer, and I had just like discovered all this stuff. She has over 150 books. One week, I kid you not, I read like 6 or 7 books.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I was just ingesting them. So I'm up at night reading. I'm in the car line reading. I am in between deadlines reading. Like there's some books coming out, and I'm just like, if I have deadlines, I pray that they don't fall when these books come out because I'm gonna miss it.
Stephanie's just like me. I put the kids to bed and stay up till probably midnight reading
Yeah.
most nights. I take
And
my
then
books
mad
to
because
the
you're
pickup
sleepy in the
line
morning.
and all of that. And
Yes.
I previously read the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and I've been burning through them
Oh,
again.
I have
Get
got to
ready
get into
through book
those.
eight. Book eight came out last week, and I
Okay.
was traveling, and I normally order from like my local comic shop, but I knew I wasn't going to be back to get it, and I had to get it while I was out. So I stopped. But it, one of the things that I'm curious is, like, you've got the different characters and stuff, but the styles you've done have been very different. So there's a
Yes.
difference between temporal and street charts, and so how do you go about communicating those character centric ideas to the different artists, like Ariel on Street Sharks or Asia on Temporal? How do you still communicate those ideas and those distinct differences across the different types of, I guess, narrative types you're doing?
Yeah, so I try to play to the artist's strengths, whatever those might be. I've been so fortunate that a lot of artists that I've worked with, their character acting is just so good, that honestly, that's the baseline. If we've got that, then we can rock and roll. But I know for Street Sharks, for instance, like that needs to be very kinetic. Like there needs to be movement, and like those wrestling moves should come off the page. So a lot of hyperlinks,
Yeah.
and then just leaving space and room for Ariel to just go crazy, which he did. And then for temporal, kind of the same. Hyperlinks to different things, but also just trusting that Asia would understand what was going on. Like by the end of the first issue, I think I would like to have just as good of a feel with my collaborators as they do with me. Because the first issue, I kind of think of like a TV show pilot. Like everybody's filling out and getting used to the flow of things and how things are communicated. And then once we hammer that out, then everything else just feels like it is smooth sailing from there.
And that's got to be so important. I've
Yeah.
been fortunate enough to talk to some people since I've been doing this, and one of the things that keeps coming up is just when you hit that rhythm with your co-collaborators where you don't even need to list everything out. You can kind of
Yeah.
block it, and then they know. It's almost like they're reading your brain and they know what you're doing, or even they come back and say, look, this is what you had in mind, but what about this? And it
Yeah.
becomes
I
really,
love that.
really that true kind of collaborative effort where it's not here's the writer, here's the artist, here's a letterer, but it really does become this big project that everyone is collaboratively creating.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm just thinking of Jeff Eckleberry, who was our letterer on Street Sharks, and I just the work that he put in for a lot of like the Jawsome and Feeding Frenzy and all of these things to really make it pop in the way that makes you think of the show, but still reminds you that this is a comic book. Same thing with Becca Carey and the lettering that she did for Temporal. All of that is just so important. Colorists included, right?
Yeah.
Making sure that we're all on the same page as far as like what the color palette is. All of these things are just so important, and I don't know. It's just really a great feeling when a comic book feels like a well-oiled machine that everybody was able to bring their creative input to the project because comics are a collaborative process.
And shout out to Ariel because one of the things I loved about Street Sharks was it felt both familiar and unique. Like it wasn't just putting on a new
Yeah.
coat of paint. Like Ariel made you realize these were the same characters, but they were still different. Like you said, this is still the ones you grew up on, but this is a comic book. It's a little bit different, and just did a great job making you feel that this was something warm and familiar like home, but this is also unique. This is my creation that I'm putting into this. These little touches of me, and like I said, the lettering was awesome. Some of the SFX that happened in Street Sharks were some of the best in comics I read this year because they were just fun. Like it was just
Yes.
a fun series to read.
Thank you.
So you're you're so collaborative with your artists, and I really love that because there is such a visible chemistry between the writing and the art and the lettering. Has there ever been a point where the art from one of the artists, whether it be colorist or the artist, have they ever made you reimagine a character before,
Oh,
or if they opened up that world even more for you?
absolutely. You're not done writing a comic until it's printed. And then even still, you might have to write it again if you go to trades and something needs to be fixed. But I'm never married to any of my dialogue or anything like that. Like I want that to match, or even the captions. I want that to match whatever the energy is that the artist has provided. So if someone has changed the perspective, condensed panels, so maybe there were supposed to be five on this page, instead we were able to get three or four because it just made more sense. Yeah, like I do my due diligence to try to make the dialogue or whatever wording I had to put there fit what is actually happening because that matters. The again, like these things have to be in concert with one another for the moments to land. So if I'm trying to think of a example quite recently. Okay, well, we're not talking about this, but for Wonder Woman, right? When
Yeah.
working with Jeffrey Spokes, man, those opening pages, he really got that. And I think in that moment where Diana's knee buckles,
Yeah.
because he drew that just so well. I think I might have had dialogue there, and I was like, "Oh, we can move this. We don't even need it anymore. This is enough." So yeah, like if I can get out of the way and let the art shine, I'm gonna do that every time.
So basically,
Just
you're the
sitting there,
easiest person to have on a
I try
team.
to be.
you know,
I have
just sitting there
learned
reading
very
it, and Stephanie
quickly.
goes, "You know what? This one needs no dialogue. Let this one be a poster somewhere. This is fine."
Yes, I really try my best to be a collaborator that folks that aren't like groaning and saying, "Oh, well, we got to get through this because paychecks." But I try not to be that way. Also, don't like my scripts to read like IKEA instructions. The first people that I'm telling this story to are my editor, letterer, artist, colorist, all of that. So I try to write, I write to them, and I want them to be able to imagine these things and just feel as though there is enough room for them to put in their creative input.
What
And
about when you have to collaborate with other writers, like with the Dakota incident?
Yeah.
There were so many that writing team was stacked, and I've always been
Yes.
curious about what goes into that.
there weren't as many as
So
DC goes mad.
yeah. So that one actually was very fun, because we would meet, I think, like once a week and just kind of hammer things out. And I really loved the way that things were structured. Like everybody got, the 10 pages, and it was kind of like this baton handoff. So we had like this open working doc. I think Joseph Illidge was really the person to make sure everything was in alignment, and then we would go through and put in our things. And then when it was time to go off and script, I think I might have gotten my script in first, and from what everyone else has told me, like I set the tone, and then from there they wrote to match that. I would have done the same thing depending on whoever script came in first, but I was very quick with mine because I could just see it clearly. I got to do all the action, which was funny to me because normally a lot of people know me for the quieter character moments. So get a chance to have Captain Atom go against Icon, and then like Bronze Tiger and the Blood Syndicate. I was just so excited to write that, they were so great to work with.
And it showed in the story. It showed a beautiful chemistry between everyone that worked on it. That it even got a second printing allegedly,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
right.
right. But it was such an impactful thing that came out because I think a lot of people before, reviews came out, before it was being hyped, they're like, like the new
Yeah.
universe of DC, whatever. And then it came out, and then you see the excitement going through social media. You see that every comic book store is sold out of it. How did that
What a
feel for
beautiful
you
thing.
when you saw the hype?
I was just so excited, just because like milestone has always been something that I've held in high regard. So to have people, I don't know, like react in that way, it just felt really good. Again, like Dwayne McDuffie is one of the biggest reasons why I write comics to begin with. So to be able to continue this legacy, and also to like work alongside Dennis Cowan and have him read, what we were doing, and not be like, I don't know what y'all are doing, but I'm not signing off on this. So to have that happen, and then for him to see, and also Reginald Hudlin, like because of the work that was put in, like this has been a success, and like people are still very much interested in Milestone and wanting them to be a part of the broader DC universe. That was just that was great.
You're really just making history left and right because
Trying.
like not to make it like a it's what you're doing is very very important, especially with the Dakota incident, being the first black female writer who's an Eisner nominee, and then like the second black person to be an Eisner nominee. Like these
Yeah.
are incredible things, and they've all happened to one person. They've all happened to
Yeah.
you.
It's not
Insane. I
it's not
I
just
would have never
anymore that
expected.
you're it's not just anymore that you're just inspired by Dwayne. Like you're on the same level with him now, literally.
Yeah.
Like it's
I'm
not just
trying
an
my
inspiration. You're
best.
not just standing on the giant shoulders anymore. You're the giant who somebody's shoulders they'll stand on your shoulders in the future. And I say all of
Yeah.
that, and we
Yeah.
talk about the success of the Dakota incident. If Jim Lee happens to see this, Jim Lee, you don't know me. You have no clue who I am. But you're sitting on a gold mine for a potential Vixen ongoing right here with Stephanie
For
Williams.
true.
You need to get it going, make it happen. I'm not even a huge big DC fan, but I will line up and buy it. Please make it happen. But I say all that to say we talked a lot, and I've heard you speak a lot in interviews about how much Dwayne McDuffie meant to you, and how much he's the reasons that you kind of write stories and
Oh,
stuff like
that's not
that.
okay.
Sorry, that's
No, okay, I
No,
got
that's what
scared.
it
I
was
was like, is it
mine.
me?
no,
I was
yeah,
like, damn it,
I'm
Megan,
sorry.
no.
I am. But, but you talk a lot about how much Dwayne McDuffie means to you. What is one of the key philosophies of his style or his artistry that you try and bring forward into your own writing?
I think it really is the humanizing of these characters that are almost godlike in a sense for some of the worlds that they're in. There is a Monica Rambeau, so it's a Captain Marvel one shot that Dwayne McDuffie wrote that I read quite frequently because of just how well written it is. In this story, she goes from being powerless because she loses her powers just before she leaves the Avengers, and you see this woman who isn't broken. It's like the inverse of Storm. Like she is dealing with the loss of her powers, but she has the support of her family, the support of her old Avengers co-workers through like Captain America and She-Hulk. And you see this woman go from, dealing with the loss of her powers and being a part of the Avengers and no longer, but still saving the day, even powerless, and then getting her powers back and immediately going back to what she was doing before because she is that dedicated. And that story always stuck out to me just because you get so much of Monica's interior life and why she why she even bothers to be Captain Marvel, which she or I think she might have been renamed Photon by that time. Who knows? Monica's
Yeah, I
got many
believe so.
names, but
Um,
you get that. I even think of like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Those are shows that I enjoyed when I was a child, but also watching them as an adult, it's just like, wow, there was a lot of stuff that was going over our heads, but a lot of adult themes that they're dealing with in this. And again, like these characters are just so relatable. You feel like you can go into the store and meet a John Stewart, or you can meet a Vixen, or even Bruce Wayne. Like you could just meet these people and see them as the humans that they are, and their superhero ness or whatever is just a byproduct of that. So that is something that I don't know, like I've always gravitated towards because of Dwayne McDuffie's writing.
And it's crazy because we've seen so much praise for the Marvels miniseries that came
Yeah.
out. It was like the everyday. This is what everyday life is like with superheroes, but Dwayne was taking that and putting into the heroes themselves. It wasn't,
Yeah.
hey, this is some outside dude's view of what's going on. This is what life looks like for just general superheroes. And
Mm-hmm.
I think for people who aren't familiar with Milestone or who aren't familiar with Dwayne's writing, it's a major loss for them because there's people I know who will talk about, oh, I love Fraction and Naja's Hawkeye, where it's just kind of this, what's a superhero do when they're not superheroing? And I was like, have you read Dwayne McDuffie? Like that's pretty much most of his writing is not just the superhero aspect, but the lives of it. And so if you're one of those people who likes the inside, like this walking in their skin and seeing what it's like, Dwayne McDuffie's for you if you haven't checked him out. You're
Yes.
missing out. And Stephanie is doing a great job of carrying on that legacy of just kind of making you feel what those characters feel. And I think that's like when I said you're one of the most character centric writers out there today, and it's because I grew up in deep South Mississippi, and we had the How to Kill a Mockingbird being the quintessential read. And I
Mm-hmm.
always think back of those words of like Atticus Finch. You have to get in a man's skin and crawl around in it. And I
Yeah.
think that's why I like writing styles like yours, because that's what you do for us readers. Like you put us not only just as this character who's someone to be viewed through a lens on a page, but through their own eyes and seeing what they see. And you've been fortunate enough. I'm not. Hopefully, I'm not speaking out of turn, but you've been fortunate enough to have really good artists who convey those emotions really well. One of the things
Agreed.
that I said that I loved about Asia's work on temporal is even if your dialogue wasn't there, I would
Mm-hmm.
still know what Savannah was feeling, what Harper was feeling, what those characters were feeling, because Asia did such a beautiful job displaying their emotion
Yes.
through her art.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
beautiful,
you.
Sean. Jeez.
Yes, I'm gonna like verbatim tell her exactly what you said. Because yes, thank you, Sean.
But I don't want to keep you too much longer if Megan doesn't have anything else. That
I do have a question.
okay, there
If
you go.
you could write any for any character, who would it be?
It would be Vixen, which is like the
Ah,
worst
knew
kept
it.
comic secret currently. Just because again, like that's a character very similar to Nubia, where I'm like DC, like let's do some more stuff with these characters. Onyx is another one. Jet is another character. If anybody read any Millennium Force, Millennium, whatever, but Jet's another character. I would love to resurrect her. But yeah, Vixen is top, and I will shut up before I
There
get
you
in
go.
trouble. Yeah.
No, we get in trouble. We're all about good trouble here. But yeah,
These are the
absolutely.
looking back on
I
us.
would love to see a Vixen series. I would tune in for that. I have my own bucket list. You and Morewa are on my list of people I would love to see ride
Yes.
Jericho drum. I would love to see you
Oh, I
both
would
write
love.
Voodoo,
Well,
Brother Voodoo.
selfish reasons. I would like Morewa to write it so I can read it.
Yeah.
So that's the
Fair.
thing. I've been learning. Like, so the downside to writing whatever story, like I am so happy that people have enjoyed Street Sharks, but you all get to enjoy it in a way that I can't
Yeah.
because like you know what I mean, because like I
Right.
wrote it in, I don't know, like I am very jealous in that way because I'm like, I would like to read this as well with fresh eyes, but this is why whenever I can I try to champion for others for work, because selfishly I would like them to work on those characters so that I can read them and enjoy it.
That's how
And
I feel
Marie
when I
would
see
just
someone
do
posting.
Marie would just do such a good job with Jericho Drum.
Yes, she
Yes.
would.
It's almost disgusting it hasn't happened, honestly.
Well, you know what?
Bloodwind at DC too, he would do a
Ooh,
fantastic job, right?
I like
Yeah,
that.
I
Good
like
lord.
what he's
Yeah.
done. That that Haitian outfit is the cleanest look we've ever seen
Yeah.
on Jericho. In that first storm run, I need more of it, but I need him to ride it. But no, so in doing that, and it's one of the things, obviously I'm not the person writing it, but that's how I feel sometimes when I see series or titles that I really like, and I see someone say, "Oh, I just read this for the first time," and there's
Yes.
that like ping of jealousy, like I wish I could re-experience it for the first time of reading that. But um, I will say this is just more of a personal aside. Uh, I do want to thank you because you, and this is cheesy. This is not just me being a kissery or whatever, but
Because he's
you.
not very nice. So, like, take all
Oh,
this in.
come on.
Sean is a professor. I believe that.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah.
but yeah, I one of the things that has come from just your writing and stuff like that is my daughter and I can connect over comic books because of your
Yes.
writing. My daughter had gone into our local library one day and Moon Girl Wreck and Roll was available. And she read it, she loved it, and that was kind of her first introduction to comics as a medium.
Yes.
And that's led to her reading the Dogman books and Diary of a Wimpy Kid and all these other books. And so she asked me like, "Hey, what comics are you reading? What are you reviewing this week and stuff?" And so it's because of that seed that you planted through your writing,
I love
right? She could have
that.
picked up any comic book and been like, "Well, this sucked. I don't want to read any more of these." So I don't want to read any more of these. We'll find something else to read. And instead, because of that, because it was so enjoyable for her, we now have that. So thanks for Moon Girl Wreck and Roll. I mean, amongst all the other stuff you've done, that has been beneficial to me personally because I get to share something I love with my daughter because of her picking that up as kind of her first
Thank
exposure to
you.
comics.
I mean, my goal is to convert as many people over to reading comics as possible. Like that is quite literally have a post-it note that is just like how many people can we convert? Just because I just love the medium so much because of how subversive it is. Because people aren't expecting, sometimes they're going in and thinking, oh, it's just a fun time and escapism. And yes, it is. But I love when folks realize or they think about something a little bit deeper and longer and it's like, oh, wait, this is a little bit more than what I thought it was going to be. But I absolutely enjoy that. So, I mean, I'm sure I'll go off and I'll do other things, but comics are always going to be the thing that I guess is essentially home for me because it's a gorgeous medium and I'm just so happy that it exists.
You know, and there's so much more there when you get the. When did comics become political? I don't know, my dude. Probably when Captain America punched Hitler on the cover.
You
Like,
know,
probably
I
yeah, like when we weren't even in the war and we've got Captain America punch Hitler. That's probably when comics became political. But there's so
They pick
much
that
more there.
up.
You're right. And
yeah, and Sean, the funny thing about when folks say that, it's just that you do enjoy political comics. It's just either like your interpretation, like the folks that were riding around with Punisher things on the back of their cars because of what they thought it was. But like that's a political statement that you're making.
Yeah.
You did enjoy that. You were wrong in thinking whatever you were
right.
wrong in what you thought the statement was, but it was a statement. So that will always be something, and I'm just kind of like, okay. There was a guy who was wearing a Make America Great hat or whatever, and
Yeah.
was buying a Doctor Who DVD set, and I just said, okay, all right, that does not make sense, but
I feel like the
that's the media
Punisher might be
literacy of it
more
all.
egregious. I feel like some of those Punishers dudes tripped and fell onto the point and still missed it. But
Yes, it's very, I don't know, it's just very interesting how people choose to engage with things. But that's a topic for another day. I mean, I
Yeah,
had
because
someone tell me 2 years of Heroes Con. I was on a panel with Colleen Duran and Gene Howard talking about Wonder Woman, and I was just, talking about Nubia and like, my influences and just the different things that I wanted to do with this character for that story. And I kid you not, the very next day at my table, a gentleman who was at that panel, he came up and he was like, I just want to apologize. I had it all wrong. Like, I thought that this was a cash grab for DC. I thought they were just reskinning the character, all of this stuff. And he was like, but my assumptions were wrong. And through listening to you talk about this character, hearing your passion, and just what she actually was and what she means to you and others, I just had to come over here and apologize. And he apologized with his money as well. So that's that was a great thing. He bought almost everything off of my table. And then the very last day of the convention, he read Nubia and the Amazons, and he was just like, again, I'm so sorry. I almost missed out on this great book because of my asinine assumptions. So, you know, comics can do that.
that's amazing. And shout out to that guy for actually
Yeah,
admitting to it because, like,
absolutely.
most people, as if never.
Yes.
that was an instance where the apology was as loud as the disrespect because it came with money.
And I have to respect that, and I have to appreciate that. I hope more people, because I mean, sometimes we're all wrong at some point, right? And it's okay. It's a part of the human experience. But recognizing that and taking action to correct it, or how to move forward in a better way, it's possible.
Absolutely. And keeping your mind open to maybe
Yes.
you don't know everything and there's more for you to learn.
Yes.
Or maybe you read this and someone else read it completely different, and then
Yes.
talk about it and
Like,
see what they learned from it versus what they did.
Yes. Yeah.
I really hope the MAGA fans that are big X-Men fans too, I really hope they hear what Sean said.
I
That's one
hope
that
so
gets
as
me every
well.
day.
Because that doesn't make a damn bit of sense, but Few things do make sense these days.
Yes. So we won't keep you. Thank you so much for coming on with us. This was
Yeah.
the best time. And I know Sean is just like fangirling out with his phone ringing calls.
Well, Sean, I got more. I'll tell you guys some stuff when we get offline, but
Oh,
some more stuff on the way that I think both of you
I
will be very excited about.